just before we went on the air, Representative Joe Alfieri, who we had on yesterday discussing election issues, and there, if you did not watch yesterday or you haven't been on X to see the footage or subscribe to our Rumble channel to see some of the bombshells that were dropped yesterday during a committee hearing on another bill, not the bill that we're about to show you here, but on another bill. The allegation, or not the allegation, I mean, it's what happened. I can't call them an allegation. This is what happened, where there were photocopied ballots being run through machines during a logic and accuracy test in Canyon County. They were testing the machines, putting in real ballots to see if that everything was working correctly. And then somebody said, what happens if we put a photocopy of a ballot through the machine? What happens there? And apparently the machine accepted it as if it was a real ballot. So that made its way into the committee yesterday. You see our good friend there, Ms. Arnold, I believe her name was Jody Arnold, was talking about this. Representative Joe Alfieri brought this topic up with Secretary of State Phil McGrain, who was presenting his own bill, and then there's the secretary there, and then he brought up another issue in Fremont County where the poll books that are used to sign people in when you're voting, that they were loaded up with not with the primary registry, but they were loaded up with the general registry. So people who were showing up to vote during a Republican or the Democrat primary, any of these primaries, I mean, the Republicans are the ones that have a closed primary. So people that were showing up to vote in the Republican primary last year or last election were signing in using an open database, the general database. So that was very concerning. And so that was we played that footage yesterday of Joe Alfieri talking with Phil about those things. So it's because of those things that Representative Joe Alfieri presented House Bill 470, which created an elections crime unit in the Attorney General's office. And so that went through committee. We played some clips from when he went through committee. This morning, just now, he was live on the floor with his opening debate on this bill. So let's cut to that. This just happened moments ago on the House floor.
During Monday's House State Affairs Committee, in discussing Senate Bill 1384, we heard testimony that during the testing of Canyon County Central and Precinct ballot scanners in October of 2023, photocopies of ballots were run through the equipment, which should have caused a failure in the logic and accuracy test. It did not. And that equipment was used during the election, even though they logically failed the test. This is something that should have been reported and investigated. We don't know what the reasoning was. We don't know why that happened, but it's certainly something that should have been looked into. And this is something that this office would be able to look into. That's why we need this legislation. And I will remind this body that we recently approved an ombudsman in a different department to look into similar issues, to take care of any issue that might arise within a different department. And based on that, I would ask for your green light on this. And I will stand for questions if necessary, but there won't be any.
Okay, well, there was a question from Representative Britt Raybould, who used the old, in her questioning, she asked something to the effect of, so have there been any instances that have happened that haven't been investigated by the Secretary of State's office? And she was kind of saying, like, why do we need to create this under a completely different office? And so we heard these types of arguments during committee in this hearing where Joe Alfieri used the example that when a bank is robbed, you call the police. You don't just let the bank managers investigate the crime. They can be helpful. They can add a lot of value, but if there's a crime happening, you want to get the people who investigate crimes to look into it. So this bill had very little debate. I think that was, if I'm correct, that might have been one of two. Maybe somebody else debated it. But Joe Alfieri closed the debate on this, and then it went to the floor, to the entire House to pass. And funny enough, it was one of those close. Yeah, go ahead, full screen on that. That was a close. It was a close vote there. 34 ayes, 36 nays, and the usual suspects voting along with Democrats here to kill a bill that would establish an Office of Election Crimes and Security. It fails in the House, and so no problem here, even though we've highlighted, just right now, we've highlighted for you, and Representative Alfieri highlighted for you, we did so yesterday, that everything's fine. Everything's fine. We don't need the Attorney General. We don't need a special person to look into these kinds of crimes. It's just our elections. It's just our elections, which are about to happen in 2 months from now, in less than 2 months from now. We're about to have our primary, right? But, machines can just, have photocopies go through this machines. We can just, put up different poll books. It's fine. It's fine. It's not happening in Idaho. We're talking about Michigan. Did I preface this? This is all about Michigan. This is all about Michigan. No, of course not. It's not about Michigan. It's about Idaho. These are things are happening here.